Call the meeting to order. Ask that Mr. Sullivan come down and offer the invocation. We are also joined tonight by two ROTC cadets from Midwest City High School. Cadet Moore, she's a senior at Midwest City and plans to go to OU or OCU to study bioengineering. And Cadet King is also a senior at Midwest City High School, and she plans to join the United States Navy upon graduation. So would you please stand and join us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Gracious Lord, we thank you for this day, Lord, and the occasion of this meeting. Father, we give you glory and honor for this great city that we live in and all the wonderful people that serve it in a professional way and in a voluntary way. Thank you for our counsel, and Father, I ask your wisdom and discernment be upon them tonight as they make the decisions that are before them, and I ask that the decisions be for the good of the whole. Father, we thank you for this great state and this great nation and those who are willing to sacrifice to defend the freedom that we enjoy in this great land. Father, give those who are sacrificing away from family and peace and comfort and safety tonight as they serve. Father, but ultimately we thank you for the great example of service that you set for us by sending your Son. We thank you for the blood that was shed for our sins and that binds us all together. And we ask these favors in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us as we lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Now we'll move into our community-related announcements.
Let me start.
Mr. Lyon.
We have several announcements tonight. First announcement is the City of Midwest City is hosting a community job fair April 16th, which is a Thursday from 9 to 1, and it'll be at the community center. So, and if there's employers in Midwest City that would like to join us for the job fair, they're welcome to come out and participate. And then anyone looking for a job, obviously, in our great city, there'll be opportunities for openings and applications on hand. Next, April 19th is now through April 19th is our 2020 discounted rain barrel event. Midwest City residents can order 55-gallon rain barrels at a discounted price and pick them up on April 24th or 25th, I assume at Public Works Administration on 15th Street. It's a great way to save rainwater for use in your gardens, your flower gardens, and vegetable gardens. Third, watch on our website. We're going to be doing another tree giveaway. 2020, we'll be giving away 200 trees again this year, which last year you have to be ready to go on that because we sold out or they're free, but they were claimed in 45 minutes. So we'll be getting information out on the trees. They'll include red buds, white buds, Chinese pistache, I shouldn't have started this, and autumn maple and some others. Now through May 8th, our early bird season passes to the Reno Swim and Slide are available at the Nick Harris Community Center. Early bird passes are $35. Also, you can start scheduling your birthday parties and private events at the pools, at the pool. Census 2020 invitations will be arriving in the mail March the 12th through the 20th. Census Day is April 1st. We need every person in Midwest City to complete their census. It can be done by mail, online, or by phone this year. Everyone counts. That means more money comes back to our community for schools, roads, and clinics. They'll be arriving in the mail March the 12th through the 20th. Cruising for Coffee is Saturday. It starts this year, Saturday, April 18th, from 8 to 11 at the Santa Fe Steakhouse parking lot. There'll be free coffee and Dunkin' Donuts, and it's free admission and no entry. So you just bring your classic cars out, and everyone enjoys going around looking at the cars. There's always 40, 50 cars out there every Saturday that we have this event, so it's a cool event. Colored in Color, the sidewalk chalk competition, arts and crafts festivals from May 9th, from 11 to 4 p.m. in the Charles Johnson Park at Town Center. In addition to the sidewalk chalk competition, there is features live entertainment, face painting, a petting zoo, arts and crafts, and more family fun. And then finally, our curbside bulk waste collection. So far, we have picked up 2,058 customers since January 9th, or January 6th, that's participated in the bulk waste collection. That we will be in Zone 9 beginning March 2nd through the 6th, which is basically located north of Reno between Douglas and Post Road. That's all I have, Mayor.
Ms. Eads, you have anything for the council?
I have two. This Saturday at Monroney Middle School, the Mid-Dell Bot Ball, which is the district's robotics team for Carl Albert, Midwest City, and Dell City combined together, are having a pancake breakfast. My understanding is it's going to start at 9 and go to 11:30. Tickets are $10, and it's to raise money for them to go to the international competition in Florida. And then on March the 3rd, the Midwest City High School is doing their annual Heart of Gold or Hog Week Community Night from 5 p.m. to 7:30. It's games, food, fun, music, snow cones, carnival games, choir performances, inflatables, a silent auction. All the proceeds from that event benefit Midwest City High School's very own Emmanuel. And so all ages are welcome. It's a free event other than carnival tickets are $4 for $1. So encourage community members to come out and support that cause if possible.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything from the Horseshoe? Okay, we have several proclamations to do tonight, and so let's get started with that. Aaron Hodges, come on down. There it is. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Okay, we're going to do it without it. How long have we known each other, Darren? Over 30 years. 30 years? Darren and I go way back, and Darren was on the dark side with the fire department. I was on the other side with the police department. But no, we've known each other for a long time, and Darren has decided to retire from the fire department. But whereas Darren Hodges began his employment with the City of Midwest City in September 1995 as a firefighter and retired in January 2020 as an apparatus operator. Whereas Darren is known for his great work ethic, dependability, reliability, and an excellent example and teacher to new firefighters as he excels in tactics and EMS work, for which he prides himself on patient care. And whereas his professionalism, great empathy, and respect has been noted in both letters from citizens and his leaders as one of the hardest working firefighters Midwest City had. And whereas on multiple occasions, Darren has went above and beyond to assist in time of need, even off duty, and has represented the Midwest City Fire Department with the finest degree of skill and training. Therefore, I, Matthew Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim February 25th as Darren Hodges Day and encourage all citizens to congratulate him on not only on a very illustrious career, but a happy future in retirement.
Thank you.
Also, a plaque from the city in special recognition of Darren Hodges for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Midwest City, September 21st, 1995 through February 1st, 2020. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate your service.
Raleigh, come on down, buddy. Raleigh was with the police department, and now he's really gone on the dark side. He's a federal employee now. But Raleigh's been with our police department, and we're going to recognize him for his employment. Whereas Raleigh Branham began his employment in Midwest City in November 2008 as a police officer and is leaving in February 2020 as a sergeant serving as a community action officer. Whereas Sergeant Branham executes his job with excellence and professionalism and is heavily relied upon, working closely with code enforcement and neighborhood initiatives, and he is the cornerstone of the CAO unit. And whereas he goes above and beyond to seek out training opportunities and maintaining his position as a drug recognition expert, and Sergeant Branham is a highly motivated employee and works hard to solve problems and quick to offer solutions and mitigate problems. Whereas he assists in any situation and is especially valued for his technical skills, assisting citizens via social media and the Detective Bureau via surveillance video editing, as well as producing videos for the Citizens Police Academy. And so therefore, I'm Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, to hereby proclaim February 29th as Roland Branham Day and encourage all citizens to thank him for his service. And if you've seen our videos of suspects doing bad things on our Facebook page and other places and in the media itself, he's the one responsible for it. And Raleigh, thank you for your service to our community. Good luck in the future. And God bless you, brother. Brian, you're next, buddy.
Come on up here.
Thank you.
There's another one. This one's hard to, we're losing a lot of experience going out the door here. And this one's a hard one to get to lose as well. Brian began his employment with the City of Midwest City in June 1997 as a golf employee and retired in December 2020 as golf superintendent. Brian spent his entire adult life for the city as a cart attendant, assistant golf pro, groundskeeper before becoming superintendent in 2006. Whereas Brian has been the best superintendent the City of Midwest City has had and will be greatly missed, being extremely skilled at irrigation and proper chemical mixing, maintenance of equipment, and overall turf quality for the facility. And whereas he's effectively and thoughtfully led his employees to improve the condition of the golf course every year by controlling costs and going above and beyond during the summer months to ensure that the greens, fairways, tee boxes, and practice facilities were in fabulous shape. Whereas Brian has taken great personal pride in the condition of his two golf courses, he has spent all hours of the day and night personally caring for the golf course as if he owned the property himself. Therefore, I, Matt Dukes, Mayor of Midwest City, do hereby proclaim February 28th as Brian Lowry Day and encourage the citizens to thank him for his service and his future endeavors. And Brian, this was another one that's hard to let go. There's big shoes to fill right here. And Brian, you've earned the retirement, and I want to wish you the best of luck. And thank you so much for the service in Midwest City.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We got to get the cake. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say it once again, the city of Midwest City has been blessed with excellent employees. And this is just a small example of what exists out there and people that come to work every day to serve you, the citizens of Midwest City. And Brian, you're going to be sorely missed at the golf course. And again, thank you. You know, again, Brian, firemen and cops get a lot of accolades and pats on the backs, but the guys like Brian and the guys that are in the dirt and doing the job every day don't get a lot. And I, again, want to thank you for everything you did and appreciate your service. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into our consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any one item proposed does not meet with the approval of all council, and members of the audience wish to discuss an item, it would be heard or removed and heard in regular order. The chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We go into our discussion items on the agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion item number 1, PC 2021, public hearing with discussion and consideration of an ordinance to redistrict from C3 commercial, community commercial to SPUD, Simplified Planned Unit Development, governed by C4 General Commercial District, subject to staff comments for the property addressed at as 6308 East Reno Avenue. No action was taken on this item at the October 22nd, 2019 council meeting. Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. The structure at 6308 East Reno Avenue is a multi-tenant commercial building and currently houses a medical marijuana dispensary, which is allowable by use in C3, Community Commercial District. This request is to rezone the property to a simplified planned unit development governed by C4 General Commercial District, allowing all uses currently allowed in the C3 district, and only C4 use would be commercial marijuana growth. Staff met with the applicant in April of 2019 to discuss the possibility of rezoning the property to allow the use of commercial marijuana grow, as this use is not allowed in the C3 district. The Midwest City Council adopted the ordinance to create the use of commercial marijuana grow as setting forth the allowable zoning districts for use, which are C4, I1, and I2, and I3 heavy industrial districts are usually buffered from residential districts. Hopefully that came across correctly. The reason they're allowed in those districts is because they're buffered from residential districts. At the time of the pre-application meeting, no applications to rezone property to marijuana grow had been received by the Planning Commission or City Council. Since that time, 2 rezoning applications for marijuana grow and processing have been heard. The one for grow heard in 2019 was denied. No action was taken on this item on October 22nd council meeting. Planning Commission recommended approval. And of course, action is discretion of the City Council, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
as the applicant here, it's a public hearing.
Yes.
Come on forward.
You state your name and address, please.
Grail Pendarvis. I live at 1108 Howard Drive, Dale City, Oklahoma.
Does anyone have any questions of the applicant?
Is this building going to be adjacent to the one you have already?
Yes, it's actually the same building. We're just using the same space.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to say about this particular discussion item? Hearing none, I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Your application's been approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll do everything I can to make Midwest City proud.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lyons, next item.
Discussion item number 2, PC 2039, discussion and consideration approval of the status 1 preliminary plat for the property described as a part of the southwest quarter of Section 12, Township 11 North, Range 2 West, addressed as 2500 South Douglas Boulevard. Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Line. This preliminary plat is being requested in order to divide the existing 10-acre lot into 3 parcels of development. The residential lot would be about 6.64 acres, and the 2 commercial lots would be approximately just a little over one acre. The frontage along South Douglas Boulevard is zoned C3, which is the smaller lots I've mentioned for commercial, and the rear eastern portion of the lot is zoned for R6, single-family detached residential. A portion of the site is within the floodplain, which is shown in the preliminary plat. All required public improvements, including cul-de-sac road, water, sanitary sewer extension, and trail requirements are requirements of this preliminary plat and must be installed prior to the application of the final plat. The applicant has requested waivers pertaining to the homeowners association and the floodplain requirements. Action in the discretion of the city council. Just sort of clarification on the floodplain requirement, because I know that's probably a little confusing for people. The floodplain bisects the large residential lot, the 6-acre lot, and it takes up an enormous part of that lot. Our requirements are that since we have to maintain those large floodplain areas, that those will become one lot and be dedicated to the city for maintenance. In this case, that would isolate the very east portion of the lot and not make it accessible. So, as part of the platting process, we would request that this be dedicated as an easement to the city so that it can be maintained at a future date and for utilities and for maintenance and whatever infrastructure they need to go in there for floodplain maintenance. Be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I have some. I know that you're well aware that we're dealing with water issues at Orchard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How will this, since this is west of there, and part of the solution to Orchard was bringing some of that water in that direction, how will this development affect what has been done so far and what is going to be done in the future to deal with the water issues at Orchard?
Well, it'll do a couple of things, and I don't know the particulars as to what Public Works has been doing up at the Orchard. I know that there was 4, 5, or 6 steps or phases in that plan. I know they've accomplished a couple of those. I just don't know the particulars. But one of the issues that was up in the Orchard was the isolation of the detention facility for the Orchard itself. That would have been in the very, I guess it'd be the southwest corner of the subdivision. You remember it was a isolated lot. This provides a utility easement that staff would be able to actually go back there and access that without crossing onto private property. It would actually provide a utility easement to do that. Long terms, what it does is gets the whole 100-year floodplain easement so that the city could do any type of maintenance or improvements in there at some point should they be required. And so when that property to the south is developed, and I don't know what the status of that is, if it's close or far off into the future, but that would give sections not only for the trail, but also for the floodplain. So it does multiple things, short-term and long-term.
And you mentioned it twice now, and it's mentioned in the report too about easements. So are we going to deal with that now, or do we deal with that in the future? Because from talking to you earlier, in reading this, it's going to be critical that the city get easements, correct?
Yes, sir. And so this is the preliminary plat. And so when they go and do the improvements and we inspect those and that they meet our minimum requirements, you'll see this again in the final plat phase, and we'll go back straight to this report and mention those things that are in this and say, yes, they did meet those, or no, they did not meet those. So you'll see it again to make sure that we get those easements.
Okay, in the way I read this and looking at the map, there's basically 3 different buildings, 2 commercial and 1 residence in the back on the far east side.
Right, lots, yes.
And they're asking for a waiver on the HOA because right now it's just going to be 1 residence, but there's a possibility at 6.5 acres that more than 1 residence would go in there if it was developed. Is that there is that
It's possible.
possibility?
It is possible, yes, sir.
So if we grant the waiver on the HOA right now, the waiver will only be good if that stays as a 1 residence piece of property.
Yes, sir.
That if this is developed, then the HOA waiver goes away, because then we get into the lot splits in the half streets and the curbing and all those other issues that we've been dealing with for the last several years. So just so I'm clear, that goes away, and the HOA is going to be a requirement, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other issue I had is where this is going to be developed. Just to the north of it, there's already a business, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the picture that you've got shows that on the northern property boundary, there's a significant slope to that property. And it's going to run right down into that building that's already there. Is there going to be anything done to make sure that that property that's already there doesn't?
When they submit the improvement plans, they'll have to accommodate or account for that that slope.
Okay, because
Yes,
it's,
sir.
I mean, it's in your report there that, I mean, the picture itself shows that there's a significant slope to that. And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just me guessing, if they develop that property in the back, there's going to have to be some accommodations because they're going through the floodplain to get to that, correct?
You're talking about the residential,
Yes.
the 6-acre residential? Yes, yes, sir.
So there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done before they can even break ground to start building a house if they subdivide it, correct?
It would be very difficult. They might be able to build a residence on the front of the lot, or they may team up with and join the property to the south, or come up with some other way of doing that. That back lot is very problematic for them to build on, but I'm not saying that it won't someday.
But
I'm sure that will.
That's stuff that you guys would be watching out for as this process goes forward, correct?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Billy, on the lot to the south, you're getting an easement in that main channel. Do you have that easement for the lot south?
I don't believe we do.
Because that one was split also.
It was.
Is the lot, the subject lot, is that, what's the frontage on the residential part? Street frontage?
It's half of a cul-de-sac, so off the top of my
It
head,
meets all the requirements.
I could pull up the drawing.
That's all right. I'm sure it meets all the requirements.
Well, it's actually more than, it's the full length around, so a couple hundred feet.
I don't have anything.
Any further questions?
The engineer, Mr. Doyle, is here.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is John Doyle. I'm with Cedar Creek Engineering. Address is 11912 North Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Okay, you're aware from the discussions that there's water issues there already, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we're gonna, if this is approved, you're the person we're looking for if it doesn't work, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to put a face with who we're looking for.
Here it is.
Because the city has invested significant time into trying to fix a drainage issue that's
Mhm.
already there.
Mhm.
And it's not huge steps. There's been multiple, as Billy was saying, there's been multiple steps through the city and public works and getting easements from property owner steps backwards on it.
Of course.
Any further questions? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Your plans going forward, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Discussion item number 3.
Discussion item number 3, discussion consideration of accepting an update regarding ongoing OG&E streetlight maintenance. This item was tabled at the January 28th, 2020 meeting. Mr. Streets.
Mayor, Council, thank you for this opportunity to provide an update regarding the OG&E lighting project and the various improvements. You've got a memo in front of you. There's an attached spreadsheet that Mr. Bundy prepared regarding some projects, and we also are blessed with the presence of both Kimberly Adams and Nicole Rhodes, the expert with regard to LED, the improvements made regarding LED lighting in the city. I would tell you that the quality of the communication, the speed at which our concerns or issues, both voiced by our constituents and city staff, have improved, in my opinion, easily over the last 6 months to a year. So I'm just glad that they're here to help echo some of those things. But if you have any questions, they did come here to answer questions. And if you all have any comments, I'd welcome those at this point.
I have a couple comments. I didn't use my name on one of these, but I want to tell you about two different deals. And they involve streetlights in my neighborhood. And I don't live on a very heavily driven street. You know, the only people that saw these lights out were me and this other old guy that walked early in the morning, and he's sitting right over there. But when they were reported, there was 2 of them, and they got taken care of in a month and a half at the most. And this isn't a heavily traveled street, so I appreciate that. And the other issue is Kimberly Adams. We had an issue on my street with some trees, and it's not a street light, but it was their deal. And they bent over backwards to try to help myself and my whole neighborhood. So I think it's working.
Yeah.
There still needs to be improvements like any government or any service agency, but the improvements are noticeable, in my opinion.
Thank you for the feedback. Would you all like to hear from OG&E?
I
Yes.
just have, since this is available on YouTube, would you run through the options that the residents have, the easiest options to report an out light? Because they don't seem to know who to call, or say we call the city or we called OG&E. So just run through real quick the easiest way for them to be able to report an outage and what they should do if they feel the need to follow up.
Best thing to do is to call Public Works Administration at 739-1066. If they have a poll number, that helps. Location, nearest street, intersection, or address, and we'll get it put into the spreadsheet, and it will get sent to OG&E, and then they will respond.
Okay. Do we have a place online that can report it?
Councilman, I'm not sure. I'd have to check the spreadsheet. Yes.
Can I say something about that? Sorry. So we have enhanced.
Could you state your name and?
Yes, Nicole Rhodes, OG&E. We have enhanced our online website. I actually have a couple slides here that I'd be happy to send to somebody afterwards if you guys would like to publish them. We have options now. Previously, customers could report security light outages by logging into their account. Now you can go to the OG&E website and report any street light outage. You don't have to log into an account. As soon as you report that, you will get a work order number that you can then, if you need to follow up, call back in and provide that work order number if you need to. So if the city doesn't have something, we have something that we'd be happy to share with you.
And so could you make that active, available to the city when people are reporting them online to you? Can you let the city know these have been reported and this is where we're at? So they can fill in this log and know how many times you guys are touching these and make it a more full measure of what you guys are doing?
So let me go back. I don't want to commit to anything without going back. It's a different group that manages that, but let me go back and have that conversation. I'm sure there's something we could do there.
And we can add that link and get this information posted. Claudia will make sure that we get that put online so that it's easily consumable and available, and maybe even do a push out through social media.
Perfect, thank you.
Can I share that we've got about 2,400 street lights or lights in the Midwest City territory, and to date, we've changed out about 580 of those to LED. Remember, it is a 5-year attrition plan, so a little bit ahead of schedule as that goes from when we started deploying here. Thank you.
Excuse me, so Paul, is that the one that's in the yellow that shows where it's been the conversion for the LED with the yellow highlights? Is that the conversion?
The second sheet or the?
Yes, it's the second.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure about the color.
Because I
coding,
see where it says converted to LED. That's what it says here. So does that?
I believe those are individual tickets that have been called in, and when we're providing the notes back to you guys, we're
Okay.
letting you know that we converted that light to LED.
Okay.
What you're seeing there is not going to be the 580 total I just gave, because some residents may go and give us the streetlight outage and never give it to you guys. So I would anticipate our number's going to be higher than what they have.
So if it says job completed, that means it is LED?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
So if maybe there was a bad underground, we would fix the underground, and if that legacy light was still working, we'd leave that light in place based off of what has been approved from the commission. That light has to fail before we can change it out.
Okay.
And I'd like to point out that that is one issue, that just looking at lights that may be out, a lot of people assume that it's just a matter of changing the light. There are a lot of times when infrastructure needs to be improved or upgraded in order to fix the light, and that process takes a lot longer than just getting a light replaced or turned on. So be aware that sometimes there's a little bit of a lag.
So you're saying now you have, it's 500 that has been?
580, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So is it in just all around Midwest City, or is it just in a certain area?
It's all around. It's just based off when lights fail. We're just
Okay.
replacing that one. I wish we could strategically go area by area, but.
Yes. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will have to say, the LED lights are a huge difference. I don't know if it's like that in your neighborhood, Pat, but my neighborhood, you can play baseball out there under the LED lights in my neighborhood, so
And
they're very well done.
I would like to say to Nicole and OG&E in 2018 February, it was a very not friendly meeting towards you guys. I'm very happy to see how responsive you all have become. We see way less out. I mean, there's still outages. I still get calls. Staff says that you guys have become much easier to work with and are much more responsive, and that's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any further questions or discussion? Chair to entertain a motion to approve the report.
Motion to approve the report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. I understand, Mr. Stroh, correct me if I'm wrong, that this next two items are no longer needed, 4 and 5.
That is correct. The item D4, the owner has abated all notices and so is not needed. Item D5 is almost done and thinks they'll be done by the deadline or their notice being due, and so they also stated they would not be here.
Thank you, Mr. Stroh.
Yes, sir.
We'll move into discussion item number 6.
Discussion item number 6, discussion and consideration of approving entering into an agreement with Coxcom, Inc. to govern the terms and conditions under which it may use the city's right-of-way to provide cable services from March 1st, 2020 through February 28th, 2030. City attorney will handle this.
We do have the representative available if there are any questions.
Does anybody have any questions in regard to the franchise agreement?
Heather, you're okay with it, right?
Yes, the city clerk and myself met with the Cox representative, went through what our agreement was last year. We relayed some concerns that our communications director and the assistant city manager had, and Cox made those changes.
Sarah? Oh, I just.
So with that being said, is there any further discussion?
Robbie, do you have anything you want to address the council?
I won't take any more of your time. Robbie Squires with Cox Communications. Other than just to say, we've been providing service here to the city of Midwest City for over 20 years, and we value the partnership that we have with the city and always enjoy working with the city council and your city employees. Just a fantastic community. So we look forward to another 10 years working together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
Discussion item number 7, discussion and consideration of entering into and approving an agreement for professional services with 505 Architects LLC in the amount of $7,050 plus reimbursable expenses not to exceed $1,500 to provide a feasibility analysis report for the city council chambers in preparation for future ADA compliance and a potential renovation of the council chambers. Mr. Bundy.
Thank you. This item is to enter into a contract with an architect to understand the scope of what it would take to get this council chambers into ADA compliance.
Any questions of Mr. Bundy or on the issue itself?
So initial.
To reiterate,
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say this is the initial phase, and this money is budgeted.
we were in a meeting about this earlier tonight. Matt and SB and I, and Brandon, and my question to Brandon was, this building right now, if this spot basically used 3 days a month, is this a very good use of our money for ADA? And he said the ADA, there's a committee that is specifically requested, and the city is looking at taking what's mostly a dark space and turning it into a space that's more usable. While I was initially against it when I heard it, when the committee that recommends these things are the ones that specifically said they want to allow the space where the citizens come to talk to their government to have the opportunity to come into this room safely and get in and out, it made me realize that even though this has been a dark space mostly, we can turn this into a space that's used for a lot more stuff and give citizens with disabilities the equal opportunity to come down to that mic, where right now it's almost impossible for them to get down there. So I just wanted, if there are other people out there going, why are they doing this?
The ramp is not ADA compliant.
Okay.
If other people are out there wondering why we would be spending money when there's other areas that have it, I just wanted to put that out there so everybody that's listening, or up here that wasn't in their meeting with Matt and SB and I, would know that's why they've come to us with this. And I went from thinking this was not a good idea to it is a good idea.
And right now, if you enter the council chambers and do use the ramp and come here, you don't have access to a restroom. You'd have to go all the way around the building. So we definitely need some things we need to work on.
Did I misspeak anything? Because that's what you and Vaughn said.
No, it was very well said.
Okay. He's learned more.
You're learning. Is there any further discussion on this item?
Well, I'd like to say thank you. I'm on the ADA, and I know that there are some things that are needed to make it accessible for the American Disability Act, and we do want to be in compliance and give everyone the opportunity to be able to have accessibility to the city of Midwest City. Thank you.
I make a motion that this is approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item.
Discussion item number 8, discussion and consideration of entering into a professional services agreement with W.D. Ballou, Ph.D., P.E., retired, to include independent cost analysis and comprehensive review of the Midwest City Police Department jail operations. Chief Claves.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager. I'm here to answer any questions anyone may have. Obviously, this undertaking is a vision of our city manager. I'm not going to speak for Mr. Lyon, but when he took over as our new city manager, he challenged all of our department heads to look at our internal operations, how we can be more efficient, more effective. This is one of those phases that we're trying to look at. It's very complex. It's a quality of life issue, and it has a lot of tentacles that go out beyond just a financial comprehensive review. And so in our discussions, we were trying to find an independent study that would look at this issue and come back to the mayor and council and the community with some recommendations. And the person that came to our mind is Mr. Ballou, who I had the privilege of working for 7 years as my direct boss as assistant city manager. He's an electrical engineer, PhD. He knows our operations, knows the budget, and it would provide a robust endorsement of his study for the public and for the mayor and council, because it would be independent. It wouldn't be the city's study, wouldn't be my study. It would be independent, kind of like we did for the Matrix and also for the SCI for the fire department. So I'm here for any questions anyone may have.
That's what I was going to ask you. Oh, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
About the matrix. I thought that was a study about what is needed and the best to be more effective. The matrix study that we done is, I'm trying to understand what is the difference with the next study, this study? I mean, is it supposed?
Councilman Allen, the Matrix study had one page that addressed staffing.
Okay.
But not the financial impact, or the comprehensive study is the cause and effect. It's a cultural issue with the police department. We have the convenience of a municipal jail that we can bring our municipal prisoners or our county prisoners. I know I have a former law enforcement person here, Ward 2, and our mayor's former law enforcement. It gives us the ability that most agencies don't have, and that is if we arrest someone and have the opportunity to interview them, we can walk downstairs and have that conversation. Whereas if we have to transport a prisoner to the county, it could be 2 to 3 hours before we have that opportunity. We don't know what the jail trust is going to do, since that's evolving as we speak. So there's a lot of dynamics that we could talk about for many, many minutes, but it'd be best to have someone who does the review for us that's independent.
The cost of this study will come from surplus property money. It won't come directly out of the operating budget for the police department.
And I agree with what Brandon said too, because it's a significant amount of, and people don't realize, I was in Oklahoma City Police for years when we had our own jail. And we ran it, we controlled it, our staff controlled it. Our staff controlled the access. It was very easy to just get up off from your desk and walk 50 feet, and the person that you needed to talk to was right there. If you got there and he didn't want to talk to you, you've spent 5 minutes. To do that same thing, to leave the Midwest City Police Station, drive downtown, park your car, go into the jail, and in a perfect world, if they weren't on some kind of lockdown, they weren't feeding them, they weren't in the medical facility, they were in their cell and they could bring it to the person to you, you're looking at a couple of hours. And that's a significant amount of time that's spent away from doing other tasks that are here that need to be done. So that alone, I think, is something that we need to look at, because yeah, it's an expensive proposition to have your own jail, but what's it cost to not have your own jail? And the chief brought up the jail trust. Nobody knows how that's going to go. It could be the best thing that ever happened. It could just keep things as right now, or it could not work as well as everybody hopes. So I think it's smart on us to look and see, is what we've got working? Is there something that we can do from somebody that's independent? He doesn't have a dog in this fight, knows how, and he's not a stranger either. So he can tell us, this is a good deal, maybe you can improve it this way. I think this is a smart investment of some money.
Well, I think it's smart on your behalf, you're doing it with the surplus money. Well, that's good, so we can't really complain because it's not coming, out of the city, but it's coming from your surplus. But are we putting anything in to help this? I mean, are you all gonna have enough with the 9,000, or are we adding some in? What's going on there?
The agreement, professional services, provides for $9,000. It's a 90-day turnaround, which means once this is initiated and signed off, we have 90 days for a report back from Mr. Ballou. He's here in the audience if anybody has any questions of Mr. Ballou.
Where's he at?
He's right back there hiding.
Oh, hello.
I do want to make another comment about Mr. Lyon. I mean, it's a vision of a new city manager. I think it's appropriate. It makes us more effective, more efficient. I will tell you, we've talked to our staff in the jail. This is not about shutting down the Midwest City Police Department jail. It's about a cost review and comprehensive review. And so we want to make sure our personnel understand that, the department understands it, and that you understand that it's a review of where we need to go. It's broken down into 3 phases: discovery. Phase 2 is going forward options, and Phase 3 is evaluation of our options and recommendations. And I know Mr. Blue's work. As I said, I worked for him for 7 years. He's probably one of the smartest men I know, and he also has common sense, so I think you'll be very pleased with his work product.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. I know you're going to do a good job.
And I second everything you said about Dave. We didn't go with an outsider who has to learn everything all over again. He basically knows where the bodies are buried. Hope that he didn't help bury any of them, but he is extraordinarily well qualified.
And this is a fair price. He's treating us right on that he's a resident here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody have any further discussion or questions of the chief? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, move into the new business public discussion of our agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before the council? Hearing none, I understand the executive session is no longer needed, so
Correct.
we will move to adjournment. Hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda, so trustees by unanimous consent can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with approval of all trustees or members of the audience wish to discuss an item, be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into the new business public discussion of the authority. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. Call to order the Midwest City Municipal Hospital Authority. We do have 3 discussion items. Mr. Lyon?
Okay, discussion item number 1, discussion consideration approving the minutes of the February 25th, 2020 meeting as submitted.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
No actions needed on item number 2.
No action needed on item number 2. Item number 3.
Item number 3, discussion and consideration of the recommendations by the Board of Grantors for awarding funds to the eligible and partially eligible fiscal year 2019-20 grant applications not to exceed the budgeted $458,497.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Lyon, who's the manager of the?
I don't have any questions. I have a request to the public. I was on this board, best board I've ever been on. You get to give away $500,000 every year, and you actually get to see it spent within that year. You get to actually watch a difference made, and you don't seldom get to do that on a committee. I would like to have more non-governmental organizations put out applications Because while we do use a good chunk of it as a city, different departments come in, row, state, schools, it would be nice if we had non-governmental organizations starting to fill this void that's needed. And if you don't know how to fill out an application for the grant, or you don't know what the qualifications are, it's easy questions that can be asked and you can be educated on that. But it would be nice to see more outside organizations filling the needs. I think that was truly the original intent of these grants, was to be taken up by the NGOs. As not that what we're doing with the cities and the school and everything else isn't important, because it is. But I'm asking for the non-governmental organizations and the charities out there not to ask for an application to fix your church or something like that, for an application for a grant to better our community with things that need to be done. That's my only comment.
And we'll continue to do that. From Claudia Deacons had a grant last year to work on promoting the Board of Grantors, grant applications within the community. So I think we did see some more this year, but I would wholeheartedly agree with you. We'd like to see more. I will tell you, I'm meeting with legal counsel for the trust, I think on Thursday or Friday of this week, I can't remember, but we'll be working on getting language change to the trust that deals with technology, because right now we are not able to approve computers
Because of 20-year lifespan.
because of the 20-year lifespan. So we're going to try to make an exemption for that. I briefly discussed that with the chamber, or at least the executive director of the chamber. So
I have
I
a
can tell
comment.
you that, I can tell you back in '98, I actually took advantage of that when I wrote my very first grant for our neighborhood association and built a park in our neighborhood. So I did take advantage of that way back when. So, and you're right, community needs to be able to apply for those, whether it be for a park or for something else in the neighborhood. So that helps out a lot. Uh-huh.
I have two comments. One, I'm very thankful that the hospital authority continues to provide these funds available every year, and I'm very thankful for the Board of Grantors who go through the applications that we receive and weed through them and make the proposed distributions. They work really hard to come up with the recommendations that they come up with, and I think we're very thankful for their efforts.
I concur with that. Working with this board, they worked very well, and they were very diligent in their review of the grants this year, and there was no disputes by the end of the process.
Any further discussion or questions, Mr. Lyon? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the grants.
Motion to approve the grants as listed in the amounts to the individual agencies.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, move into the new business public discussion of the authority. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we're hereby adjourned.
Can we go back and make sure that we know the minutes being authorized for the February minutes, not the February 25th?
I'm sorry?
Did I say the wrong one, or is it listed in?
It's on,
Yeah,
It does say the 25th, so we do need to correct that.
Yes.
That's a good point, Sarah.
there needs to be there's a scrivener error in the minutes. The minutes actually need to read February 11th instead of the 25th. So Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the 11th.
Motion to approve the minutes on the February 11th.
11. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, not hearing any more discussion, we're hereby adjourned, and I call to order the Midwest City Special Economic Development Authority. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine items by one motion. If any item that proposed does not meet with the approval of all trustees or members of the audience wish to discuss an item, be heard and removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into new business public discussion of the authority. Does anyone have anything to bring before the Economic Development Authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned, and that is the end of our meeting. Thanks for being here.